Robbery suspect shot dead by Madang police. DAL secretary charged by fraud squad. And Prime Minister says cabinet to meet on quake destruction.
This is the National EMTV News with Maribel Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. Madang police have shot 4 armed criminals, part of a group of 7 men who attempted to escape after robbing an employee of a business house yesterday. Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Jacob Singura confirmed one of the suspects was shot dead, 3 others seriously injured, while the other 3 escaped. The injured suspects were taken to the Madang General Hospital for treatment.
Provincial Police Commander Jacob Singura says 7 armed criminals held up an employee of the Endemart shop in front of BSP Bank and stole the shop's money yesterday. Singura says a police officer that was there at the time realized what was happening and tried to investigate when the criminals shot at him. The officer was in his vehicle and was fortunate he wasn't shot. However, the vehicle has bullet dents and the car's radiator was damaged from the shots fired at him by the criminals. The officer pursued the criminals to the back of Anderson's Foodland, where they were trying to escape on a getaway boat. However, the officer managed to shoot 2 suspects. Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Jacob Singura acknowledged members of the public who assisted the police officer, who was alone at the time, to alert the other police personnel for backup. From there, the reinforcement team arrived and pursued the criminals. 3 of the criminals were apprehended, while the 4th suspect was shot dead. Provincial Police Commander Jacob Singura commended his personnel, saying despite facing a number of problems including manpower shortage and vehicles, they still performed their duties. Singura says these incidents should be a warning to other criminals to refrain from committing armed robberies. He says police will not tolerate these criminal activities and will come down hard on them. Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Madang.
Agriculture and Livestock Secretary Dr. Velepet Ilaava has been charged for abuse of office and official corruption. National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate Director Superintendent Matthew Damaru confirmed the charges this afternoon. According to the fraud squad, the charges stem from a security contract entered into with a security firm in the year 2012. According to Director of the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate, Matthew Damaru, the arrest of Agriculture Secretary Dr. Velepet Ilaava was the result of a month-long investigation by the National Fraud and Anti-Corruption Directorate. These investigations centered on a 2-year security contract entered into between the Agriculture Department and Extreme Security Services in 2012, soon after Dr. Ilaava was appointed Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock. The awarding of this contract initially ended up in court, with the National Court finding that the contract was flawed as it breached Section 40 of the Public Finance Management Act, which called for a public tender. However, according to police investigations, despite the court findings, the contract was not terminated, with monthly payments made to Extreme Security Services, with claims by the NFACD that the invoices were manipulated, inflated and resubmitted. Investigations revealed that in 2012, a total of 1,999,860 kina was paid to Extreme Security Services. According to Damaru, Dr. Ilaava was brought in for interview on Monday and subsequently charged. He was charged with 11 counts of abuse of office and 9 counts of official corruption, resulting in misappropriation of 1.9 million kina. Dr. Ilaava was then brought to the Baroko police station, where he was remanded. He will appear in court later this week. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says a special cabinet meeting will be held to address the affected areas hit by the earthquake. Speaking in Mount Hagen, the Prime Minister says a National Executive Council meeting will be held on Wednesday. The Prime Minister says from reports the damage done is immense. However, a full report will be provided to his office tomorrow. Mr. O'Neill said the disaster is unfortunate and also passed his condolences to families of those killed in the landslips. He also said the earthquake will have severe impact on the country's economy, with oil and gas projects affected. Prime Minister O'Neill was accompanied by Works Minister Michael Nally, Finance Minister James Marape, Hela Governor Philip Undialu, Intergovernment Relations Minister Petrus Thomas, and other senior government officials. The Papua New Guinea Defence Force has deployed resources to assist communities affected by the 7.5 magnitude earthquake in the Highlands region. According to PNGDF Chief of Staff Colonel Ray Numa, as of this morning, 2 PNGDF helicopters had been deployed to the region to assist the national disaster officials carry out initial assessment. He adds that an infantry company from the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment is also on standby for immediate deployment to affected areas if the need arises.
On the 2 helicopters are the members of the National Disaster and our military early deployment party up to the Highlands. And part of the task they're going to do is tomorrow they're going to do aerial surveillance of the Highlands region to assess the damage that's been done and where we can tailor our support, our assistance to assist in operations up in the islands. We have put up a company of infantry soldiers from one up here ready to deploy when the facts and details of the operations are finalized. Got also medical teams all ready. They are in preparation now to deploy for those assistance. At this juncture too, we have also requested to the Australian Defence Force. They've got a C-130 who will be arriving, maybe has already arrived in country. We've asked for their assistance to assist PNG Defence Force in doing wider aerial surveillance of the disaster area, because we understand that it's not only in the islands, but it's also gone over to some parts of Western Province, some parts of West Sepik Province, and some parts of East Sepik Province.
Meanwhile, APEC member countries have identified early warning signs as the best approach to minimizing damages caused by natural disasters. For Papua New Guinea, the challenge is on disseminating correct information to people in disaster-prone areas.
The two-day meeting involved discussions on how to better prepare for natural disasters. The working group identified early warning signs and early evacuation plans as 2 best approaches locals can take should a natural disaster occur.
Thing of this year, early warning system. I think this year we not just emphasize the message itself, but about how to collect information, how to disseminate information, how to make the best use of information.
During the discussions, the United States shared its experience when it was hit by a bushfire in 2017 and an hurricane in 2018.
We all know in the 94 volcanic eruptions in Robbery, early warning and preparation and planning was the key towards evacuation of the people in Robbery, even though 5 lives were lost. And as we all know, in last month's Kadawo eruptions in East Sepik Province, if it wasn't for the local knowledge that the villagers had, they self-evacuated a day before the eruption.
Papua New Guinea has experienced 3 natural disasters in the last 2 months. The latest is the earthquake, which occurred at 3:44 a.m. yesterday, which affected 5 provinces, 4 in the Highlands region.
Idea now, or the focus now, is to reduce the effects of disaster and to improve the resilience of our community. And as you can see, the Kadawa.
For Papua New Guinea, the challenge is to come up with better approaches on how to minimize damages that may be caused by natural disasters. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The major earthquake that hit the Southern Highlands, Hela, Enga, Western Province and other provinces of Papua New Guinea actually occurred on 17:45 Universal Time on Sunday. The result was felt in the early hours of Monday. Professor Chalapan Kalwin of the School of Natural and Physical Sciences at the University of Papua New Guinea says PNG should be preparing itself for further natural disasters, as PNG is geologically a very active site.
Yeah, you can. Yes, center.
Papua New Guinea sits on the New Guinea plate, which moves very quickly, and PNG itself is known to be an active geographical site. The 6.2-kilometer depth tremor was measured by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. The quake that occurred in the earth was felt on the surface about 10 hours later.
In Papua New Guinea, this particular area is quite active. We call it the New Guinea plates. It shifts so quick, and they're always turning. And once you are in this place, every year we get volcanoes and we get earthquakes. Down to New Guinea Islands, across to our side, and it's only so we have a feel for Papua New Guinea itself. It's quite an active site.
While the cause of the earthquake is still unknown, Professor Kalwin explains that signs and signals from the surrounding environment could have been noticed.
It's always a challenging thing when this is out of our control. When 6.2 kilometers way down there, you can't tell. And we only tell by feeling the vibrations.
He said although monitoring systems are in place to see where natural disasters are occurring, the world is yet to develop technology that can tell people where and when a disaster is happening in order for the people to avoid casualties.
We can't even detect even the slightest move too, even the smallest light. You cannot detect whether the result's going to be big. So right across the world it's been happening. We are not very good. We haven't mastered it yet.
Nonetheless, Professor Kalwin explains that PNG should be prepared as it is a very active site that is situated on a boundary plate, the Pacific Ring of Fire. He adds that the national government and the provincial disaster centers should always be prepared in terms of dealing with the effects of natural disasters.
Can we have early warning systems within, our vulnerable sites that we have a feeling for it, we got experience enough? Can our provincial governments deal with it? Can our national governments deal with this? We have some important agencies here that can be seen to help us.
He stressed that the government's investment in infrastructure should also consider disaster-proof infrastructure that will withstand natural disasters that PNG is prone to. Stacey Yalo, National MTV News.
You're with National MTV News. APEC meeting discusses counter-terrorism. National Planning Consultative meeting to discuss economic growth. Those stories and more when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Talks on countering terrorism are underway in Port Moresby as APEC member countries discuss the safe movement of the 21 world leaders and their delegations in November. These decisions are focused on four main areas, including secure travel and infrastructure. Discussions commenced today with Papua New Guinea taking the lead as the host nation.
Counter-terrorism will be an important agenda and will be carried forward to the first senior officials meeting from March 7th to the 9th. This is because it deals with safety and security for world leaders, their spouses and their delegation. Representing Papua New Guinea in this high-level discussion, Tony Kaib from the Office of Security Coordination and Assessment explains that PNG is addressing domestic terrorism through the country's national security policy.
Domestically, Papua New Guinea is addressing the threat of terrorism through the national security policy that we have. Apart from that, there are other various sector policies, including various legislations that we have in Papua New Guinea that addresses terrorism and deals with the specific challenges in the different sectors, covering basically secure trade, secure infrastructure, secure travel and secure supply chain.
It is an important avenue for PNG to source ideas from, as it places PNG in a high level of discussion on terrorism.
Issues we plan to discuss are basically about countering the threat of terrorism that affects 23 economies. In terms of terrorism is quite generic in terms of how different economies address them. It may be terrorism threats from Al-Qaeda, from ISIL, from Jemaah Islamiyah, from Abu Sayyaf, all the different threats of terrorism That's how the CTWG address those threats in our discussion.
This is just the planning phase, but recommendations from these discussions will be presented in the SOM meeting in March. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The National Planning Consultative Summit is set to go ahead next month in Leh, Morobe Province. Themed on securing PNG's future through inclusive economic growth, the summit will provide an honest review of the country's development in the last 43 years. Through the summit, a new development plan will be formulated to help PNG perform better in the socio-economic development delivery for the next 5 years.
Ministry and Department of National Planning and the Government of Morobe will co-host the National Planning Consultative Summit. The Consultative Implementation and Monitoring Council will be a major partner to facilitate and add value to the consultation process.
Once we've come up with a draft, we want to then go back to all the regions, to Mamase, talk to all the governors and districts and say, look, this is the way we are thinking in terms of the overarching plan. What are your thoughts about this? What is the role that your district is going to play or your province is going to play? So now, instead of the government sitting in Waigani and formulating a medium-term development plan like we did in the past two plans, this time we want to engage with everybody.
Minister Maru said PNG must learn from other countries in the region, especially those who started with a similar socio-economic status. The summit will be a time for open and constructive input from the private sector, civil society, government departments, and international guests. Speakers from around the world are expected, including India, Malaysia, and New Zealand.
Securing our future through inclusive economic growth. Let me just give you the background behind why we've come up with this team for our new medium-term development plan that we want to formulate, not just as a planning or a government document or a plan, but we want to formulate together with all our key stakeholders like the private sector, civil society, the churches, the public, academic institutions, professional bodies, and of course learned experts from around the world.
The National Development Bank of PNG presented a check of 50,000 kina as a silver sponsor for the summit. Lilian Soperakinea, National EMTV News.
Raikos district is now working on investing in the rural electrification program to bring electricity to its people. The program will begin in Bom Village in Astrolabe LLG. Pangu Party leader Sam Basil and Raikos MP Peter Sapia made the announcement over the weekend.
Raikos MP Peter Sapia told his people the district would make some funds available in March to start work on the rural electrification program. The first phase of the project will start from Erima to Bom Village in Astrolabe LLG.
Project inside the district. Our first project was start from Erima companies lo Bom, or from Bom up to 4 mile where our companies lo em. Okay, then next project we look long upside long Ramu side. So commission power line start from Ramu to Ranara. That's first phase when we start.
Pangu Party leader Sam Basil says as part of the party's policy, they will ensure that Raikos district gets electricity. Basil says the start of the electrification program in Bom Village will also assist to bring in electricity to the other villages along the coastline.
So we will power this place, reverse, ball starting power this place, ball stand up in post na reverse go come up go. Na ball waiting member Madang look simlo 4 mile come so that Emi can power him or people blow Amele he coming up 4 mile. Now let's say that suppose Emi give me excuse na me no give him, then member blow Raikos but go back and ask him or people blow Raikos. If Mipla can or Emi can use him money blow Raikos, law put in power want blow district blow Madang na go join him to the power come. So those situations will be decided by the honorable member for Madang if he wants to light up the sections between 4 mile na Gogol. Plenty places stop only like in power. But because a member of Raikos, by making Raikos that's all.
Raikos' geographical location also makes it a struggle for the people to travel to and from town. Thus, the Raikos MP is also looking into subsidizing costs for small aircrafts going into the district. This approach is to help those living in the remote parts of Raikos.
So that we can subsidize all palus, long helping all man-mary long push like Tep-Tep, Naido LNC, Long Island, Motside, Yagan area, where plenty of people were hostile push all through long travel come down.
Meanwhile, the two members have also promised the people of Raikos to start working on the incomplete Yawar Bridge.
Yawar Bridge needs a decking. Now, surprisingly, there's a supplier from Madang who supplies decking for me in Bulolo very cheaply. His company is from China and he does work for Ramu Nickel. So they are based here. The deckings are here in Madang. We get them cheaper. A 40-kilometer bridge, least it cost us 2.1 million, not 10 million. It's cheaper to do engaging those guys. But apartment already built, he'll be looking at less than $1 million to put the Yawar Bridge decking, depending on how far apart is it. But it is. But
Martha Luis, National EMTV News, Madang.
In news just in, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has confirmed the closure of 4 important revenue-making projects in the country. Operations at these project sites are temporarily closed because of extensive damage caused by the recent 7.5 magnitude earthquake. These include the PNG LNG project and oil fields in Hela and Southern Highlands and the Oktedi mine in Western Province. Mr. O'Neill made the announcement upon his return from visiting some of the affected areas today.
In the morning, we have deployed Defence Force and the members of the Defence Force and the National Disaster Office who are now on the ground, assessing the areas in which we will require our attention immediately. And of course, we have our own provincial governments and the administration of those provinces. The 2 provincial administrators are on the ground, the 2 governors are now on the ground, making sure that they take charge of the concerns that our communities are raising. This disaster has resulted in many people losing their lives. We are told that the numbers are within about 20 people have, in all those provinces have lost their lives, but we are yet to get the final numbers, and we will be announcing those in the due course. We also have substantial damage to property. I want to say that it has affected the 3 or 4 major projects that we have in the country. Particularly the PNG LNG project is now shut down so that they can assess the damage, particularly the structural damage to the infrastructure that is being used to, of course, produce LNG for our country to export. The second project that has been shut down is the oil fields that has been run by oil sets. We are told again that all the staff have been evacuated, especially non-essential staff, but those who are going to continue to maintain and monitor the assets and the instruments in those fields are going to continue to remain until if the position significantly changes. So that is where the situation with those 2 projects in both Ella and Southern Highlands provinces. In addition to that, Oktedi has been shut down for a day or so.
You're with Tuesday's News. We'll have more stories after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. With over 1,000 registered local small to medium enterprises engaged in Port Moresby, OneTalk SME is providing locals business opportunities and training. OneTalk SME is an innovative platform created to empower local SMEs in all sectors. Founder, Captain Bruce Parker, said this has a unique business concept to assist thousands of struggling people to empower locals to do small businesses using their network of OneTalks.
With not much land space and the right environment conditions to do agriculture in this big city like Port Moresby, one can feel trapped. Many individuals feel like they don't know how to engage their OneTalks in certain meaningful small businesses. One Talk SME has found a simple concept where you can use these One Talks to generate additional income for your households. One doesn't require any assets or big investments to be a member of One Talk SME.
250 kilo registration fee, one time, and you are done. But now we current come down to 150, just for this last week, this week before registration, launching of the program. So launching on Thursday. So 150 kina. Okay, what does 150 kina cover? I'm covering membership ID card to you, free delivery of anything on the house.
One Talk SME provides a platform for anyone who wants to do small businesses. They do trainings to guide and empower locals to set up small businesses or support existing ones, which in turn provides additional income for their family.
You feel you making creating one platform or one environment where all different companies, all site logistics team, all small business line can work on them, or at least every money company or locals where we can work in business on it. Even got plenty or little business initiative or helping more plenty line or working more business, that kind of stuff. We don't want to seem like we are one of them. Rather, we want to just seem as a small company that provides initiative or provides one platform or company or come business law.
Currently, One Talk SME supplies a wide range of products and provides innovative services to local SMEs in Port Moresby at the lowest prices while doing free deliveries to their business locations.
Somebody register or the whole SME postal Morata. We are doing 780, Pamlakan Morata, and Mahap and we are dropping over the eggs. So we are over 780, wake start, we are dropping off, all paying all eggs, then we are come back. So some say finish and one kind.
This Thursday will be the official launching of the center at Hohola. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
Department of Higher Education Minister Pilar Niningi and his Secretary Father Jian Shuba led the Australian High Commissioner Bruce Davies and his team to the Southern Highlands province recently. The purpose of the visit was to inspect the construction of the Western Pacific University and launch other projects in the area. Mr. Davies reaffirmed the Australian government's support towards supporting PNG's education sector and other priority areas.
Australian High Commissioner Davies reassured all present that Australia will continue to focus on PNG education in line with the government's priorities.
This is very, very special, and it's a really great opportunity for me to come with the ministers to listen and to learn and to spend a bit of time here. Time here today, then on to Mendi and then on to Nipa. So I'm hoping to spend the next 3 days in Southern Highlands getting a better understanding of your interests, your needs, and most importantly, where Australia and Papua New Guinea can continue to come together.
The recent visit to the Southern Highlands, specifically to Yalibu Panget district, received a big welcome from the people there. Mr. Davies said to see and experience firsthand the livelihood of the local people is to listen to the community and see what they really need.
It was really good this morning to just get a very quick first look at the work that's now underway at the new university. Clearly for Papua New Guinea's future, education. That's what's going to be critically important. And we have traditionally done a lot of work at the primary level, even at the elementary level. We've done a lot of work with secondary schools, but I think that needs to come together then with a continuing focus also both at universities and in technical and vocational training.
Upon the visit, a technical high school was also launched in the Imbongo district. The Yombi Technical High School will provide opportunities for unfortunate students who will not be able to make it into higher education institutions. The project is a partnership between the Government of Australia and PNG with China, which has expressed interest to build the institution.
MIPLA got big responsibility along working this university. Also now, MIPLA finding money yet. We have a bigger responsibility to build the university. I'm glad the Australian ambassador, High Commissioner is here with us.
Stacey Yalo, National EMTV News.
The Pokarapul Health Centre in the Imbongo district of Southern Highlands will be upgraded to a district hospital. But in the colonial days, the health centre built in the colonial days, the health centre serves around 50,000 people. Local member and Department of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology Minister Pilani Ningi said the upgrade is timely as his people have suffered enough.
The conversion of the Pokarapul District Hospital was welcomed by the Imbongo community. The villagers willingly gave their land for the project and offered to give more space if the health centre was to expand. Local member Pilani Ningi, who led a delegation of members of parliament, including the health minister, senior public servants and the Australian High Commissioner Bruce Davis, and his team to the Southern Highlands province, said he trusts his people will look after the district hospital.
I've been fighting for 35 years to save this people, save lives, more lives lost. Because I believe in the cause. Many lives lost. Mama's lose. Mama karam isa bagrab. Plant also bagrab.
Mr. Niningi said his people want the hospital to be a fully fledged hospital to cater for the many health needs of the people. The government, through the Health Minister, Dr. Puka Temu, committed 10 million kina for this project. Sepuka officially did the groundbreaking ceremony for the district hospital. In partnership with Digital Foundation, he also presented an ambulance to the health center with a new computer set for the administration of the health center.
You have given this land, and they have, on top of that gift, we are now, this new government, with the resources that we have, is now able to provide even better quality, international standard services to our people.
Stacey Yalo, National EMTV News.
You're with National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is up next. We'll be back with the details. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Australian Weightlifting Open trials in Brisbane last week saw 5 countries and over 20 weightlifters compete in their respective weight categories. The event, a lead-up to the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, saw PNG's Stephen Curry outclass the rest in his weight category to snatch gold.
The event, attended by over 100 spectators, saw Papua New Guinea powerhouse Stephen Curry execute a smooth lift on his first event. In his second attempt, Stephen, with great momentum, managed to snatch 175 kg. His final event, and with a little bit of a glitch, managed to do a clean and jerk of 210 kilograms for an overall total score of 357 kg. This led to Curry claiming gold for PNG in the Australian Weightlifting Opens trial. Come 4th of April to the 15th, Stephen Curry and Dikatoa will be defending their 2014 Glasgow Commonwealth Games titles. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
To football now, and the National Soccer League will resume competition this weekend with a double header at the Bissini Soccer Oval in Port Moresby. The NSL was on a 2-week break to cater for Toti City Dwellers and Madang FC's participation in the OFC Champions League.
To avoid rescheduling of too many matches for washouts, the National Soccer League manager Leslie Babaga decided to put the domestic competition on recess to allow City Dwellers and Madang FC time to compete in the OFC Champions League.
Oh, here's a chance, surely. There's a goal for Madang.
Now that both teams have fairly concluded the first leg of their Champions League campaign, both teams will refocus their attention on the domestic front, whilst the normal competition was on recess that allowed teams to play their washout games. Babaga said the round 6 matches will resume this weekend with all matches played as scheduled. This weekend will see a double-header in Port Moresby, with the first matchup between FC Momase and FC Morobe Wowens at 12:30 p.m. and table leaders City Dwellers taking on the incumbent Port Moresby-based side, Southern Strikers FC at 3 p.m. While over in Leh, a friendly rivalry between local underdogs Buang FC and Besta PNG United promises to be a thriller. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Yeah, with Trukai Sports, we go for a break and be back with more after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League, the Brisbane Broncos will be sharing their unforgettable experience when they return to Australia. Broncos assistant coach Jason Demetriou says they are respectful for the great opportunity to be in PNG.
Like every NRL player or team that visits a country, they are always greeted by very passionate fans. Since the Broncos arrived last week Thursday, they were given a surprising welcome by club fanatics at the airport. Since they arrived, to their departure has been something many of the players and coaching staff have never experienced before. Broncos assistant coach Jason Demetriou says they will be passing on more than a good word about their experience when they return. He added, it would be great for the expansion of the game if a PNG team was included in the NRL.
I can tell you from us and everyone at the Broncos will be passing on more than a good word. I think it would be great to see the Hunters in the near future in the NRL, what it could bring for change in terms of socially to a country like this. I think Rugby League has got the ability to do that, and as a governing body we should be doing everything we can to find a way to make that happen, and as the Broncos will be representing that for a good push for that as well.
The trial match held over the weekend saw many people turn up to support their teams. Broncos trial match captain Alex Glenn was awestruck by the support and atmosphere in the stadium.
I thought, the whole atmosphere, the way he's put it together, everyone was controlled. Both teams really took a lot out of it.
Though the Broncos ended up victors at the end of the 80 minutes, Glenn says the real winner was the sport, which has inspired many people.
And this community, and I can't thank everyone for, the support they gave both teams when both teams were scoring tries. Everyone was just, showing fair play, and that's all we can ask from the community.
Elijah Levette, National EMTV Sports.
The rugby union and referees have been urged to use common sense before sending players to the sin bin following a turbulent opening round to Kiwi teams in Super Rugby. The Blues, Crusaders and Chiefs were all stunned for high tackles.
Just a few centimetres too high cost Lachlan Boshier 10 minutes in the sin bin and the Chiefs a penalty try.
It's obviously a tough pill to swallow, but
this scenario hotly debated over the weekend.
The tackler can go nowhere else, can he?
But the message from the officials is clear.
Stay away from the header, really.
Or you'll be sent to the bin. Although disappointed, it seems Boshier hasn't learnt his lesson.
Nah, I think I'd do the same thing over again if it came to that situation.
Yeah, let him score the try and not give a penalty.
The Crusaders have no sympathy for the Chiefs forward.
That we aren't going to get away with anything, and if you're going to go on high, that's the risk you take.
The defending champions weren't immune to sanctions themselves, picking up 2 yellows during the match, but playing with 14 men is something they train for.
When we have our live sparring session on a Thursday, if the boys are high, they get yellow carded at training. So it costs them at training, it costs them at the game.
Maybe the Blues should take note. In Dunedin, they were ahead by 7 before Antonio Kirikiri was carded. 10 minutes later, they found themselves down by 7 with the game hanging in the balance.
As long as it's sort of consistent and there's a bit of common sense involved, then yeah, I'm cool with it.
Blues hooker James Parsons agrees and thinks changes could be on the cards.
And the refs might move towards being more realistic around if it is deliberate or there's malice or intent in it.
In the meantime, the rule is black and white. If you make contact with the head, you're going to spend time on the sideline.
And that ends True Kai Sports. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, Daru, Kerama, Alotau and Popondetta, fine weather with a top of 32 degrees. To the Momasa region, showers expected in Lae, Wau and Madang, a shower or two as well for Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, showers expected in Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe, thundery showers in Buka, Autonomous Region of Bougainville. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centers can expect cloudy weather over the next 24 hours.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.